Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie, with my rant of the day on 27th of October 2023. There are some things sometimes drive me absolutely crazy, as you know. And today, what we're going to talk about is the behaviour of people in public life, MPs. You pay their wages. If you're in the UK, you pay the MP's wages. Now, I'm concentrating on the UK in this video. I'm sure in other countries you have similar things go on. Drives me mad. These people, they're in public life. They set themselves up there. They wanted to be MPs. They're supposed to set an example to everybody else. They get paid a lot of money. They get paid by you, the taxpayer. You pay their wages. And they just do what the bloody hell they like. Let's chat. Okay, so you may or may not know a lot of things go sort of under the radar, don't they? They get mentioned maybe once on the news and then they're never mentioned again. And then there's an inquiry and we've got to wait for the result of the inquiry. Load of bollocks, basically. So, okay, what we're going to look at first. Oh, I mean, honest to God, I really think you will be shocked by this information, because when I started to look, I mean, I knew about a lot of it, but there's a lot that I didn't know about. Now, the first thing I'm going to show you is an article this article is more than a year old. I'm going to look at some more recent things, but there is in this article, there's a list of sexual misconduct allegations made against MPs. And these MPs are of all different political persuasion. But I can tell you right now, the most are from the Conservative Party. And the ones in the news more at the moment are from the... Now, I'm not saying it's because they're Conservatives. I'm just saying maybe it's because the Conservative Party is in power. You know, power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Do they think they're better, above everybody else? Nobody can touch them. Why do they think they can act with impunity when they're supposed to be, setting the yardstick for what everybody else is supposed to do? They're supposed to be... what's the word? So I remember this happening before many, many years ago under John Major. Not that, well, he had his moments as well, because he had an affair with Edwina Curry. But it was all this campaign, wasn't it? Back to basics. There was all this moralizing, telling people what to do. And then it turned out that they were all doing all sorts of things. This is how it feels at the moment. They sit there telling us what we should do, how we have to save on this, how we've got to manage to make do, how we've got to, just suffer the cost of living crisis. People in Britain, children are starving. Families cannot make ends meet, cannot cut back anymore on anything. And these people, what are they doing? The people that are supposed to be making our lives better, the people we elect, we pay them because we want them to improve our lives. This is what they're doing. So this, as I say, this is from over a year ago, but I will be reading other things that are recent. So this was a list of sexual misconduct allegations made against MPs. And this is in The Guardian. So they decided to look at this in May 2022 because a Conservative MP who was arrested on suspicion of rape was released on bail. Now, it would be wrong of me to say who that person was, but I believe it begins, the initials are MF, but we're going to look at him anyway. So they decided, we take a look at sexual misconduct allegations made against MPs and their outcomes. Imran Ahmad Khan, the Conservative MP for Wakefield. Imran was found guilty in April of sexually assaulting a 15-year-old boy after plying him with gin at a party in 2008. Khan assaulted the boy in Staffordshire in January 2008, 11 years before he became an MP. But he resigned as an MP 2 weeks after he was found guilty. He had the decency to resign, because this is the other thing they don't do. They don't resign. Neil Parish. Do you remember this one? The tractor said he was looking at tractors on his phone. The Conservative MP for Tiverton and Honiton. In April, he admitted to watching porn on his phone in the House of Commons. He initially said he'd watched the porn in error, but subsequently admitted that while it was the first time, of course it was that he'd never done it before, he had watched porn in Parliament, it was an accident. He was in fact searching for tractors. The second occasion, though, he said was deliberate. So he was searching for tractors, he found porn, he liked it, so the next time he looked for porn. Now, whether the porn was on a tractor, I don't know. Has he got a thing for tractors? He announced his decision to resign as an MP. And, it's like that the Little Britain skits where you've got the politician and the wife outside the house, and they're coming out with this story about how whatever it was that they're being accused of happened. And the wife's like, sort of backing them up, but looking terrified. His wife, Neil Parish's wife, came and said, I don't think it's unusual for men to look at porn. For God's sake, I think that's the point. Of course, it's not unusual for anyone, not only men, to look at porn. What is unusual is looking at it at work when you're sat in the company of women and you're supposed to be no disrespect to anyone that works at McDonald's, but it's not working at McDonald's. He's working in the House of Commons, British Parliament. Our Parliament now is enough of a joke. It's become a joke over these past sort of 10 years, hasn't it, with all the idiots we've had in there and the changes of Prime Minister. Brexit, we're a joke, an international joke. And then this guy is sat in Parliament looking at porn. But his wife says, well, I don't think it's unusual. No, but not when you're at work, and certainly not when you're a politician, an MP. Where's the gravitas in this position? Where's it's serious when you're an MP. You're supposed to be an MP because you want to improve the country. Anyway, so that was him. Most of them are Conservative, I'm afraid. That's just the way it is. I haven't picked them because they're Conservative. It's just how it is. So Neil Parish, the Conservative MP, I've just read him. David Warburton, the Conservative Party removed the whip from Somerton, the MP for Somerton and Frome, who the Sunday Times reported. The Sunday Times is facing allegations from 3 women. Warburton, 56, was accused by one of the women of climbing into bed with her naked. She told the Sunday Times she repeatedly warned she did not want to have sex with him, but alleged that he ground his body against her and groped her breast. Oh God, how revolting. He is said to have denied any wrongdoing and insisted he had enormous amounts of defence. But unfortunately, the way things work means that doesn't come first. What? Okay, Rob Roberts, the Conservative MP for Delin, was allowed to rejoin the party despite an independent investigation finding that he sexually harassed a junior member of staff. He was suspended for 12 weeks after the independent panel found he had made suspended for 12 weeks. What? Significant repeated and unwanted sexual advances towards a former member of staff. Used his position as an employer to place him under pressure to accede. He had his membership to the party restored, but continued to sit as an independent MP in Parliament. Andrew Griffiths, in December 2021, in family proceedings, a High Court judge concluded that the former Conservative minister raped his wife when she was asleep and subjected her to coercive control. The judgment detailed alleged domestic abuse by Griffiths towards his wife, Kate So Kate Griffiths, I can't think who she is. She's apparently a serving Conservative MP during their marriage. It also included pressing her into sex, physically assaulting, verbally abusing her. And Andrew Griffiths denied allegations and adamantly denied RAPE. He resigned from government as business minister. So this is the other thing that they do. They resign. You think they resign. They're only resigned from being a minister. They still stay as an MP a lot of the time. Anyway, he resigned from government in July 2018. What? After sending 2,000 sexually explicit messages to constituents. In November 2019, he stepped down as an MP. Are you angry yet? Are you angry yet? I fucking hope you are angry. Sorry. I hope you are. You should be angry. You need to check your MP out. I mean, I don't live in the UK, so I haven't got an MP, but I'll tell you what, if I did, I'd be checking them out and I'd be finding out what was going on. So Charlie Elphick, the MP for Dover, another Tory. He was convicted and jailed in 2020 for sexually assaulting 2 women. Found guilty of 3 charges, 2 in relation to a parliamentary worker in 2016 and 1 in relation to a woman at his family's central home in 2007. The judge described him as a sexual predator who used success and respectability as a cover. During the trial, jurors heard that his first victim had suffered a terrifying episode when he assaulted her and chased her around his home, chanting, "I'm a naughty Tory." God, I'm so fucking angry. I am so angry. Now, can you imagine? Now, this is, well, we've not even got to the end of it yet. So these are all in the same line of work. So far, they've all been Tories. Let's read a Labour one out just for there's a couple of Labour ones now. So, because I'm not saying this is, there's something wrong here. There's something endemic. But what is it? Is it the power? Anyway, Mike Hill. In July 2021, an employment tribunal ruled that the Labour MP for Hartlepool repeatedly sexually assaulted and harassed a parliamentary staff member before victimising her when she refused his advances. This is about power, I think. A central London employment tribunal found he marginalised her in Parliament, changed her terms and conditions of employment and made her redundant when the staff member known as Miss A rejected his advances and declarations of love. Hill had resigned as a Labour MP in March 2021, resulting in a May by-election in Hartlepool and a victory for the Conservatives. Now, something I want to say is because a lot of these MPs, they have staffers, in their offices. They have young people straight from men and women, straight from university, who are pursuing maybe to finally do a career in politics, and they start off as being like their personal assistants, for these MPs. That's where the power of that dynamic comes from. Apparently, it's common at most, it's so common for these MPs to have affairs with their staffers, etc. Boris Johnson with Carrie Johnson. There's lots of examples of it. A lot of the things that sort of they're allegations, so I can't, but lots of MPs that are currently having affairs with their staffers, etc., male and female. And I mean, it's not just heterosexual affairs, it's all kinds of affairs. So it's endemic. So what I'm trying to say is, if that was, imagine what's another profession? So this is the profession of MP. Look at the volume of people. If this was I don't know, an office somewhere, working for the civil service in a particular office, or working for McDonald's or whatever, and then it turned out that all these people were committing, there's something wrong in that company, in that employment in that workforce to have so many people doing this? What's wrong with them? Do they seek those positions because they think that will give them a chance to do it, the bit of power, and it's good money? And anyway, okay, another Labour one, John Woodcock in April 2018. The Labour MP for Barrow and Furness was suspended from the Labour Party amid an investigation into claims he sent inappropriate text messages to a female former aide. Oh, and I just want to add here, that's why Lee Anderson, who is now the Tory chairman, that's why he was ejected from the Labour Party for making sexist comments and sexist allusions. He was ejected from the Labour Party and he became a Conservative MP and is now chairman of the Conservative Party. Later that year, Mr. Woodcock quit the Labour Party, saying in a resignation letter that the disciplinary case was politically motivated and rigged against him. Of course he was. He vehemently denied the allegations, and his resignation meant the investigation was not concluded. Oh my God. He continued to serve as an independent and later joined the House of Lords as a crossbench life peer. For fuck's sake, that's how they reward you. Do you know people that have just been awarded titles? Jacob Rees-Mogg, he's now a Sir or a Lord or whatever. He's been knighted. For what? For falling asleep in the House of Commons across the benches because he was so pissed. That, you know, these are the type of people that in Britain now, they're getting titles. Just should abolish that whole fucking title thing. That just ridiculous. The other guy, Sean somebody, he's just been made a lord. He was involved in the COVID party scandal. He was organising parties at the height of COVID. He's a lord now. Joke. It's a joke. Michael Fallon, Conservative Michael Fallon, resigned as Defence Secretary in 2017, admitting that his behaviour towards women in the past had fallen short. So that's a polite way of saying he's a fucking sex pest. Fallon apologised for making unwanted advances to journalist Julia Hartley Brewer. God, I can't stand her, but still, he shouldn't be doing that. Repeatedly placing his hand on her knee, although she herself insisted no one was upset or distressed. No, because she would stick up for any right wing. She just typically, she wouldn't support women in any way, shape, or form. She'd be one of those that just just need to put up with it and shut up, like, you know. Anyway, after his resignation, additional allegations were made against him, and in September 2019, he announced he would not seek re-election. Stephen Crabb, the Conservative MP for Pembrokeshire, he sent sexual chatter to a 19-year-old woman who hoped to work for him. Power again, isn't it? It's the Hugh Edwards, it's Phil Schofield. You know, you want a job? Yeah, just send me a picture of you naked and I'll get you a job. He resigned as Pension Secretary in 2016 after allegations he had sent suggestive messages on WhatsApp to a woman in her 20s. He remains an MP, so he's still an MP. Is he your MP? Preseli, Pembrokeshire? Remember that when it comes to the next election. Mark Garnier, the Junior Trade Minister, he was cleared of wrongdoing in 2017 for asking his former assistant to buy a sex toy and calling her sugar tits. Says he did not deny the accusations, which prompted a 1-month investigation by the Cabinet Office to see if he had breached the ministerial code. But he's still the Junior Trade Minister. Damien Green was sacked as first Secretary of State in 2017 after admitting he lied about the presence of PORN images on his House of Commons computer. Then he was accused by the Tory activist Kate Maltby that he had behaved improperly towards her. Is he still there then? A Cabinet Office inquiry was unable to reach a definitive conclusion. Kelvin Hopkins, the Labour MP for Luton North, he left in 2021 before the inquiry into SEX harassment was concluded. No findings drawn. Don't they go on to continue it with the police? These are criminal accusations, surely. Anyway, he continued to sit as an independent until the general election last year. So this was, a few years ago. And he opted to stand down from the House of Commons. He said he stepped down because of his wife's health. Yeah, poor woman. Clive Lewis in 2017, another Labour MP, accused of grabbing a female Labour member's bottom at a fringe event at the party's conference. He was cleared of allegations. Okay, so that's some sort of older cases. What we're going to look at now, there's literally one just now. Crispin Blunt. Oh gosh, he doesn't look like a P, does he? Oh my God. I know looks, you can't go by looks, but come on, if you ever had to define what you thought a P looked like, that would be it. Anyway, sorry, he's not a P, so I shouldn't say that. That's not what he's been accused of. But, an SEX offender to me, God, I'll get into trouble for that. Well, never mind. Okay, so this is Crispin Blunt. Now, one thing I'll say for him is come clean, because there was an announcement that a Tory MP had been arrested on suspicion of RAPE. And Mr. Blunt, this was literally only yesterday or the day before, Mr. Blunt said, it's him. Oh, and possession of controlled substances. So, yeah, not only you're paying for them to be abusers, you're also paying for them to take these controlled substances, subsidising their lifestyle. So don't forget, because they earn about, I think it's £80,000 a year as an MP. Then their expenses can be £120,000 a year. They don't pay for anything. So you imagine if you were earning £80,000 and you've got someone paying your electricity, your rent, you're claiming everything on expenses. God, it's disgusting. Anyway, in a statement on X or Twitter, the Reigate MP said, it has been reported that an MP was arrested yesterday in connection with an allegation of RAPE. I am confirming that MP was me. Let's have a look what he's got to say. He says, of course, he's cooperating fully and he's confident they'll be exonerated.
Amanda, Crispin Blunt choosing to name himself in this arrest.
Yes, indeed. So just a few minutes ago, Crispin Blunt himself, who is the Conservative MP for Reigate, has tweeted a statement, and I'll read you some of that now. He said, it's been reported that an MP was arrested yesterday in connection with an allegation of rape. I'm confirming that MP was me. The fact of the arrest requires a formal notification of the Speaker and then his Chief Whip. He says he's now been interviewed twice in connection with the incident. The first time 3 weeks ago, when I initially reported my concern over extortion. The second time was early this morning under caution following arrest. The arrest, he says, was unnecessary, as he says he remains ready to cooperate fully with the investigation and that he's confident it will end without charge. He says he doesn't intend to say anything further until the police have completed their inquiries. Now, Mr. Blunt is 63. He's been the MP for Reigate since 1997. And earlier this year, he did already say that he was planning to step down at the next general election. He's relatively high profile within the party. He was formerly a junior prisons minister, and he was chair of the Foreign Affairs Select Committee for a number of years as well. And indeed, in recent weeks, he has been fairly high profile on the news because he has been speaking out about the conflict in Israel. He's a paid director of the International Center of Justice for Palestinians, and has been accusing both Israel and Hamas of having committed war crimes. Now, we also have a statement from Surrey Police this afternoon after the allegations of this arrest were first reported. And Surrey Police have just said that they can confirm that a man's been arrested on suspicion of rape and possession of controlled substances. He's been released on conditional police bail pending further inquiries. And the Tory party have so far declined to comment. Now, this comes after a rather
comment because they're all in it. They're all at it. I tell you, I'm 100% certain that they are, and they've declined to comment. They're terrified to comment in case something comes out about them, but nothing will happen. It'll be no further action, won't it? Lessons to be learned. Be one of them.
Horrid few weeks for the Conservative Party. Yesterday, the former Tory minister Peter Bone was suspended for 6 weeks and faces.
This is the other one we're going to look in a minute. Peter Bone. What a name. Just you couldn't make it up, could you? Peter Bone. Another Tory MP.
Is a recall petition now after he was accused of bullying and sexual misconduct by a former member of staff. The independent expert panel found that they'd been trapped in a room and he'd exposed himself to them. And so now members of his
Bone by name and bone by nature
constituency have the opportunity to sign this recall petition. If 10% of them do, then that triggers a by-election. And then, of course, just last week we had the by-election triggered after Chris Pincher, the former deputy chief whip, resigned after he.
Yeah, we're going to look at him as well. Chris Pincher, he finally has resigned. He was, there's been an investigation going on for months. He was the reason that Boris Johnson really, in the end, lost being prime minister, because he did not step in quickly enough and he actually said joked about him and said Chris Pincher, Pincher by name and Pincher by nature. So this man was known for being like an sex pest towards young men, and he's only just resigned because the inquiry didn't find when it finally finished, didn't come down on his side or something. But they all know about each other. You're telling me they don't know? It's an old boys club. They've all gone to Eton or one of those public schools. That's where they got into all these things. They're privileged. They think they are the best thing in the world, that they can do whatever they like. They're omnipotent, and the amount of years that they've been in government, the Tories, they just think they can do anything. And now we've got the dregs in there as well, because all the good Tories have gone because they didn't support Brexit. And all we're left with now are the idiots that supported Brexit, or even if they didn't really support Brexit, they went along with it for their career's sake. They're career politicians. They're not conviction politicians. They don't care about you. They wouldn't give a shit what happened to you and whether you've got any food at the end of the week or money to pay your electricity. They do not care one bit. All they care about is themselves and their lifestyle. And their lifestyle as well includes controlled substances and easy sex.
He was accused of groping two men in a private members club. Of course, very different orders of magnitude of the kinds of allegations that are being talked about. Labour too have had MPs having to resign over allegations. So Christian Matheson, there was a by-election in Chester after he was accused of sexual misconduct from a former staff member last year as well. But clearly for Rishi Sunak, trying to get his government back on the front foot, his big speech about AI today, this comes at a very difficult moment, and indeed does already seem to have reignited the discussion in Parliament around what happens when an MP is accused of these kinds of allegations, and if the police begin an investigation of this kind. So
So I don't understand why, if they resign, then the police don't continue the investigation.
And the Prospect Union have issued a statement this afternoon saying the Leader of the House must bring forward a vote to exclude MPs under investigation for violent or sexual offences from accessing the parliamentary estate. And they want that vote, which they have been calling for some time after a number of different cases that we've had in similar circumstances, that they're saying needs to happen as soon as Parliament's return, because the House now isn't sitting until the King's speech.
Yeah, so there you go. So there's another one. Right, let's have a look at one of those they mentioned there. Chris Pincher. Pincher by name and Pincher by nature. He has only just resigned. And of course, his resignation was one of the reasons why recently Labour had such a good, they won in 2 by-elections. Labour won his seat. They've never, I don't know if that's one that they've never won that seat before. So he's held the seat in 3 general elections. He was appointed Deputy Chief Whip in February 2022 after playing a key part in efforts to save Prime Minister Boris Johnson following the Partygate scandal, which is ironic because it was because of Johnson's terrible way of dealing with his thing that he ended up going. So why did he resign? He resigned as Deputy Chief Whip after he was alleged to have groped 2 men while drunk at the Carlton Club in London's Piccadilly. And several Tory MPs complained about his behaviour to the Whip's office. In his resignation letter, he admitted he'd embarrassed himself and other people. Yeah, he blamed it on drink, he probably blamed it on mental health. Really what the reason was is he did it because he thought he could get away with it. And when he didn't get away with it, that was the only reason that he was sorry. So that's him. There's one more that I want to look at, one that you may not know about because I have kept his name. Oh, let's have a look at Peter Bone first. I mean, what an unfortunate name. MP Peter Bone suspended from the Commons for bullying, and we just saw that. So there's going to be a by-election in his constituency in Wellingborough. And again, another former Tory safe seat, but none of them are safe seats now. And the Parliament's behaviour watchdog found that Mr. Bone had exposed himself to an aide and physically struck him. There you go. Peter Bone, good old Boney Bone. Boney Bone with a B-O-N-E-R. So there you go. I mean, and I think it's important to remember these things. He did this to a guy, to a staffer during an overseas trip. It's not only women that it happens to men. And just because someone's a man just doesn't mean that it's not traumatic when they get things like that happen, especially. Imagine, I mean, oh gosh. And I think sometimes, and I don't know if anybody's watching my channel, if they're gay, I expect they get this sort of attitude from people, that just because if you're gay doesn't mean you just fancy any man. Do you know what I mean? Is it like, oh, well, it must be all right to do this because this staffer is gay, so I can flash my boner at him and it won't matter. It's horrible. It's horrible to think it's less important for a man as well. Nobody wants unwarranted sexual attention, whether it be from a man, a woman, from anyone. It'd be nice if Brad Pitt maybe gave me some unwarranted sexual attention, but no, even if I didn't want it, even if it was Brad Pitt, it'd still be horrible. But it's not. It's like, why? Oh, I don't know. You should not do it. There's a way of finding out if someone's interested in you or not. I mean, really, all he had to say to that guy, I expect all he had to say to him was, I don't know if he's married, this guy. He probably is married because a lot of them are married, but of course, secretly, they have other kinds of relationships. I think that happens a lot. I think in our cabinet, there's a few at the moment. I would say, but I couldn't possibly mention who they are. But, you know, you might think who are the ones that mince their way around. They're just not honest about their sexuality. So if they can't be honest about their sexuality, then what else are they going to be honest about? But I've forgotten why I started saying that now. Yeah, if you like the staffer and you thought you had a chance with the staffer, well, you know, you have a conversation with them. You find out if they're interested in you. You don't just, you know, expose yourself and, you know, take it from there. So Philip Hollowbone, Tory MP for Kettering, which neighbours his constituency, said the expulsion was a very sad day in Parliament. He's been an outstanding MP for 18 years. I'm sorry, I don't think it's a sad day when you get rid of an SEX offender. I think it's a good day. I'm sure he's been an outstanding MP for 18 years in many ways, but how many other times has he done something like that, but nobody's ever said anything because they've been too scared to say something? We now live in a climate, in a world where luckily victims can speak out. You know, they don't have to be so scared of speaking out as they used to be. He's probably, if he's been an MP for 18 years, that won't be the first time that he's done something like that. That's just the first time that someone's had the guts to complain about him. And I'm sure he's helped tens and thousands of local residents with difficulties. I mean, you know, all bad people do good things, don't they? You know, even Mussolini made the trains run on time. But that doesn't mean to say you have to excuse all the terrible things that they did. So there's going to be a by-election there. So it'd be interesting. Gosh, he's 70. For God's sake, you think he'd be you know, God, Peter, you know, control yourself. If you can't control, this is what makes me think if he's 70 and he hasn't learned to control himself, what was he like, you know, from when he was 20? You know, so anyway, he's very popular. He's married. His poor wife, Jenny, yeah, Mrs. Bone. Oh, the couple split in 2016 and he is reportedly in a new relationship. Yeah, that of course is what's happened with Michael Gove, who split from his wife and is now living with one of his aides, a male aide. Someone else who I'll probably get into trouble for saying that actually. But yeah, you know, someone else who just be honest. To me, that's the other thing about people in public life. They've got to be honest. I know it's not easy, but like people like Philip Schofield, I know they come from different eras. Hugh Edwards, you've got to be honest. They come from different eras. Hopefully, you know, people in public life now, younger people in public life, they can be open about who they are. And they should be open. And then, of course, that takes away what's the word, that takes away the chance that they can be blackmailed. Obviously, if they're openly, you know, open about their sexuality, then, you know, hopefully they can't be blackmailed. So just, well, you wouldn't get blackmailed if you just do things that you're supposed to do and don't do things that you're not supposed to do. So we'll see what happens with that one. I think that's it now for the ones that I wanted to show you. Yeah, we've had a look at those allegations. We had a look at Peter Bone, Chris Pincher. We've had a look at. So, yes. One last one. Yes, Marc Francois. And Marc Francois disappeared out of public life because he was under investigation for RAPE. And I just want to say here, this was, not only was it RAPE, but the victim was hospitalized. It was so violent. So, but it's been dropped for whatever reason. You know, it's really difficult to prosecute an RAPE case. It's virtually impossible, really. I always think that any RAPE case that actually gets to court, they are probably, you know, 99.9% guilty, because otherwise it would never have got there in the first place. But this investigation was dropped and he has returned. The Met stated that the evidentiary threshold for prosecution had not been met. And all that had been sort of released before was that a former Tory minister and a sitting MP in his 50s had been arrested on suspicion of RAPE. But, well, I'm presuming this is available online, so I knew it anyway because it was all over social media. But of course, when it's on social media, you know, you're not supposed to say it. It doesn't, mainstream media cannot say it. So he's there. He's there. I've seen him talking in Parliament. He's there. I was just trying to see where he's an MP from. I'm not sure who he represents. But if Mark Francois is your MP, then you need to maybe question it. Oh God, we've got another one here. Tory MP Andrew Rossendale is bailed by the police for a 4th time. So there's another one that we've not even mentioned yet. Andrew Rossendale. I don't think we've mentioned him. So it says here, various national news outlets refused to publish the identity of the MP in question, citing legal reasons. However, Black Isle Media, which is this website that I'm following, they believe for several reasons the identity of the MP should and can be published because it's in the public interest. His identity has been known online for some time for those outside of the media, and it's openly discussed in social media. And importantly, the victim themselves stated they wished them to be named in the media. Justice is meant to be open and transparent, and there is no legal order preventing the publication of their name. Of course, then there was Alex Salmond, though I think he was found not guilty, so the point I'm trying to make, I'm not trying to witch on individuals in particular, though I would like to see people be actually, be actually held responsible for the things that they've done, not get away with it. And RAPE is a very, very difficult case to prosecute because ultimately with RAPE it does come down to your word against theirs. But I know this person did have a lot of injuries. I know that because they did have to go to hospital, but I don't know the whole details. So the police have decided, the thing is the police won't want to take it to court and him to be found not guilty because they can never convict him again after that. So what they'll be doing is they will wait until they've got enough evidence, and then they'll do it. Okay, so that's it. So the point I'm trying, as I say, I'm not trying to individually blame anybody. I am just saying, what is it about being, and what have these people all got in common, apart from all being men, of course, but they're all MPs. What is, if you had a percentage, a ratio of that amount of S offenders in a profession, there's something going wrong, isn't there? There's a reason for that. Why are there so many of them? Is it the power thing? Are they above the law? Why are they not held responsible? Why is one of them now in the House of Lords? At least one. I mean, there's probably more of them. There probably will be even more. It's like an all boys club, isn't it? Anyway, that's my rant for today. Check out who your MP is. See if there are any allegations against him. Now, I know sometimes false allegations are made, but, I think that's rarer. We're living in a time now where women in particular, or men, or anybody who is not in a position of power, won't put up with things like they would have done 20 years ago, for example. It was just almost expected that the boss would sort of, I don't know, pat you on the backside or try and give you a cheeky kiss on the cheek, or, I mean, I remember that when I was young, it was just, you just sort of expected it and accepted it. It's terrible now when I think about it, But that's how it was then. But now we don't have to do it. Women don't have to do it. Young women don't have to do it. Men don't have to do it. You know, nobody has got the right. Not only they haven't got the right to exert their power like over children and things, you know, we'll all be up in arms if it's children. But what difference is it really if it's an adult, if you're, you know, depending on the severity of it. You know, I'm not saying that you should sort of go to the police every time somebody just calls you babe or something like that. What I'm talking about is if somebody actually, you know, physically touches you or exposes themselves to you, or makes your life more difficult because you're not giving in to their advances, you should have somewhere to go with that. That should not be allowed. These people, these men, and they are all men, that's what another thing they've got in common. They need to know that they cannot do it. And the more people that get caught out for doing it and actually get, you know, held responsible and actually get consequences of their actions, the less is going to happen in the future, because people will be aware of it instead of just thinking they can do what the hell they like. That's it. That's the rant for today. So thank you for watching. I'll see you really soon. Thank you for all my subscribers. Thank you for liking. Please like this video. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Please consider it. Thank you to my members. Thank you to everyone who supports my channel in any way. Those of you who sent me a super, bought me a Ko-fi or PayPal me, sent me an email, supported my channel in any way, shape or form. Thank you so much. And until I see you again, may your God go with you. Cheers.